What's up? So I wanted to shoot a video just highlighting what sort of happened in the past couple of weeks, months actually. So I quit my job, quit my 9 to 5 job. It was a tough decision, I won't lie. Look, I had been shifting back and forth between, should I stay in the job, should I not really? And I was happy with the work. So I worked full time as a physiotherapist. I'd actually quit my job previously, and I went back to work because, I just wanted to make more money. But at some point, I moved into a management role. And as much as, management is, it's great, you make a little bit more money, I was pulled out of what was bringing me joy. I didn't realize that everything had sort of become focused on patient care, right? I loved patient care, and that was the one thing that I was able to do on a daily basis, and that's what kept me excited about my work. I think in taking that management job, the goal was to get into a position where I'd be able to do more with the newfound, authority that I had in that supervisory role. But in gaining that, I basically lost majority of my ability or my time, I think, to treat. There was the option to treat, but yeah, it didn't really pan out. I never thought that I would be one of those people that would be like, yo, I actually don't enjoy my work. But it's what happened. And slowly but surely, it's never one of those things where it just hits you one day where you're like, oh, I'm angry at work. It was gradual, very, very gradual, meeting after meeting after painful meeting. Sometimes, when you move into a supervisory role, it's no longer me and my bubble and my space. I have to coordinate the service, and it made things a bit tough because on days when I didn't want people were there at my door knocking like, yo, we need you to do this, yo, can you get this, yo? And it became a bit much, and I started feeling myself distancing myself firstly away from patients completely. Look, I was doing some of the work I did in my previous job, but at some point I just lost all desire to, even treat patients, the few patients that I would get. And then that left me with an admin role. Literally, I was doing a desk job, driving back and forth between clinics. And I'm saying all of this just to put into context where my mind was. I just at some point I pulled my foot off the accelerator completely, and I was sort of just coasting, driving to work. I'd narrate my story as I'm in the car and I'm driving like, wow, it would be great if, or it would be nice if I pivoted and I did something like that. Another funny thing is that on the way to one of the clinics where I work, it's literally on the way here. So I passed by the turnoff to go to the studio. Many a time I thought to myself, I was like, yo, if I could just turn off and head to the studio and go sit here in this space and work on things that bring me joy, then I would feel better. At that moment, I realized there was a problem because I hadn't felt this way before. I didn't hate my job. I never hated it. But, this was the first time where I was like, I'd actually rather be doing 17 other things in the studio. Even if it's just, answering emails related to music, I would have rather been doing that. So that sort of led me down a long path of conversations, journaling, a lot of meditation, just thinking, a lot of back and forth. I go back and I look at my old journal entries, and it feels like there were multiple people in my head having the same argument. One person's like, yo, leave the job, shouldn't be there anymore. Another voice was like, yo, you have a family. What do you think you're doing? Another one's like, you know what? Forget about all of that. Do what you want to do. And then there was another voice that was sort of just apathetic. Kind of just like, it is what it is. You are where you are because you are where you are, and just get to work. And that was sort of the one that took center stage. And it's the one where I was like, okay, cool. I'm just gonna go to work. I'm just gonna make sure I get this stuff done. In the afternoon, I'll think about, those other crazy thoughts of, quit your job, do this. But what's funny is, for every single flashpoint that I had last year, especially for every single flashpoint I had, all those other thoughts just became louder and louder and louder. Like, yo, leave. You shouldn't be here anymore. It's great, right? I'm in a supervisory role. I'm getting a little bit more money, but at what cost and for how long? That's the other question I think I was asking myself. For how long am I going to be doing this for? So I created arbitrary dates where I was like, yeah, I'm going to leave on this date, and I think when I finally did make my decision to go, it was, there was a specific meeting. I just sat through and I was like, yo, I really don't want to do this anymore. I really don't want to do this anymore. And I remember walking out of that meeting and just like saying to myself, nah, I've been creating this barrier of I'm going to leave on this particular date when I've got this much money and all these things are in line. And I was like, if I keep shifting my date, all that means is that date is just a construct in my head. Why not just get rid of it and just say that you're going to be leaving work next month? So I was like, okay, cool. I would have left in April. No, I would have left in March. But there were a lot of holidays in April. Is it April? No, the holidays were in March. I'm losing my mind here, but yeah, there were quite a few holidays. I know there was the whole Easter period, and I sort of wanted those to fall in the month that I was leaving, just so that there'd be less days at work. So set it up, got all my papers and stuff done. I remember I was even in here the one day and I had just finished certifying all my forms for resignation. I thought to myself, I was like, yo, is this actually what I want to do? Is this the smart move? But then very quickly, those thoughts of, you're going to carry on doing this. How much longer are you going to do this for? And I was just like, no, I really can't. I can't wake up every day and just be that person, just floating around. It's never been me. I've never had that. And also, I wasn't feeling like myself. For the first time in many years, I was just like, yo, man, what is going on? I was tired at the end of the day. I was doing physio work throughout the day. Through the evenings, I was working on music. I was juggling, actually, because it was music initially, and it was voiceovers as well. So I was making beats, and then I'd do a voiceover, and then I'd have to answer emails, and then I'd make another beat, then I'd mix a track, and then, all of a sudden it's midnight, and I need to get to bed because I need to wake up super early the next morning. I think I must have done that for a full year. Mind you, that was with a newborn in the house. So you can imagine, it was crazy. I was awake all the time. So it's thinking about it now, it's no surprise that I wasn't myself at all. So I left. I thought I'd be happier as I left, but I think that happiness was just overshadowed by this massive sense of relief. Major relief. I remember getting home and thinking to myself, whew, that chapter's finished. I was just like, there's this heavy feel. I remember the last time I left work in 2017. I left work and I was excited because I was like, ooh, new growth, new things I'm gonna experience. This time was different in that I wasn't as excited because I know just how much work all of this upkeep is without a 9-to-5. So I was sort of tempered in my feelings. But at the same time, just the feeling that I will not have to do what I was doing, it gave me a sense of calm. I slept better that night. My thoughts were just a lot more open. I started smiling more. Like I just, things were happening around me. I wasn't kind of just like numb. It was a major thing. Even right now, it's been a week and a half, and I don't feel like I made the wrong decision. Whether it means, I'm not 100% sure, because at the moment all I really have is music production. I've got voiceovers. Sure, I have a master's degree in physiotherapy, and I should be able to get work somewhere at some point if I wanted to. So there is a bit of a fallback plan. There is money, there's savings and stuff put aside. So all of that stuff has been sort of covered. But, I'm not 100% sure what the rest of this year looks like. It's May now. It's obviously going to be a lot of changes, a lot of growth, a lot of whatever you want to call it between now and the end of the year. I don't know what that looks like, but it's exciting. And for the first time in a long time, I'm waking up with new ideas. The beats I'm making are sounding a lot more intricate. They're sounding less robotic, which is funny because I feel less robotic. My voiceovers instantly just have more life in them. I think some of it is because I do them in the morning. Like I just finished one now. It was just life, and I didn't have to dig for that life. I didn't have to be like, okay, compose yourself, okay, do your exercises, then do the voiceover. It kind of like was just get behind the mic, and I was able to use the best energy. Woke up a couple of hours ago. I'm able to use the best energy on that stuff without having to think about managing people and driving there and procuring that and doing this, that, and the other, which was fun in the beginning, but became very, very old very, very quickly. I'll probably go into that at a later stage, but yeah, this is where I am at the moment. I will see what happens. I'll try and document as much of the journey as I can. I've got my diary here, so I'll write all my notes in the front, and that's sort of what I'll be following. But I've got like a lot of journaling that I've done at the back of the diary. That I think it'll be interesting just to go in there and just see who that person was. And I can actually go into some of those entries and see how I was feeling at that time. Maybe it will assist. I don't know. Maybe it's interesting. Maybe you won't find it interesting. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. Peace.